1. Fuck.
Shut up, Leo.
3, 2, 1, fuck. Mr. Nick Phelps, one of the OG guests for those of you that have been here since the beginning. Nick is like first 30 guests came out. He's actually also on. He's also guest number 69, which,
And
I think that,
I think there's 3 times I've been on.
yeah. And then you and
Dan.
Dan came on for episode 69. That was the
Yeah.
Wuhan clan.
Yeah, Tatercast.
Yeah, Tatercast. Hey, for all the new listeners, because the podcast has been doing fairly well, please introduce yourself, my man.
My name's Nick Phelps. I'm from upstate New York. Retired Air Force Special Operations Aviation with RPAs, drones, Predator, professional photographer, videographer, drone dude. You see the video I just sent you?
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was the other day.
The drone?
At the DJI first person view FPV drone. We put the goggles on and fly it. So there's a controller. I don't have it in here, but it looks just like a control stick. Like I have my similar, you can see a little better.
Yeah.
It looks like a control stick like this. So when you pull back on it, houses get smaller. You push forward on it, the drone noses down, houses get bigger. So, but it's wireless. So it's called a motion controller, and you just use that to fly around like you're flying an actual aircraft.
Jesus.
Yeah, it goes like 60 miles an hour.
I was confused because it was from your email, not from your phone.
Yeah.
So it was a random email, and what looked at first glance, I looked at it while I was pissing, and at first glance, like the first millisecond, I thought it was like Fort Meade.
Oh.
And for a split second, I was like, who the hell is sending me an email of a drone footage of the NSA headquarters that I would imagine is protected airspace? And very quickly, I was like, I don't want this. I was like, I don't fucking want this. Hey, Tommy, I took some shots of Fort Meade for you.
Yeah, right?
Fuck right off. Fuck that. But, yeah, man. So I don't think we've talked in like a year.
No, it's been sooner than that. It's just been a lot going on. I had 2 massive kidney stones. That was back in August. We were supposed to meet up, and that was just utter living hell.
Yeah. Hey, bring your microphone a little closer, or get a little closer to your microphone.
My Rode mic on my camera's not working, so
you're good, man. You're good. But yeah, for everybody listening, Nick introduced me to Dan Libby, who got me his brother David Libby, got me Greg Henneman, and you directly from you has branched out to about 30 different guests.
Yeah, along with Tyler Morton and
Tyler, yeah. And I used the interview with Colonel Morton to get Brigadier General Robert Spalding, and kind of bounced up and up and up and up.
Yeah, I see that, dude.
Yeah, what's the camera you sent me? You sent me some badass camera on a tripod.
Oh, so I'm using my Nikon Z7 mirrorless camera with a 24-70 f4 lens. Tethered to my computer is my webcam.
Explain all of that to me.
It's a mirrorless camera. Like you see the Sonys and all the commercials and stuff now, all the TikTok stuff people are using, vlogging, but I just have the Nikon version. And it's just like the kind of kit lens that comes on it. I wasn't using my portrait lens. Like, you know how you can go on Zoom or whatever, and you blur out the background? Well, my lens will do that. I mean, it's like one of the best portrait lenses. But I just didn't like the way it's framed up. You didn't get the flag and all that up there, so I went with the wider lens.
So you did an episode with me, and we covered the Samsung S20. And
yeah.
In that light, what you did is you described it to a retard like myself who can barely turn on a laptop. Potato. I forgot. That's politically correct term is potato, or tater for short. And so for a tater like me, for a technologically illiterate tater for like myself, I've heard the term before. I think I heard it on MKBHD. I'm sure anyone actually in this field would, again, think I'm a tater. What is mirrorless, and why is it to me, in my like limited consciousness of technology, it seems like one of those buzzwords like how OLED always was, or like 4K, and then eventually it kind of comes into consumer 60 FPS, gigabit Ethernet, like terms that even laymen like myself, those terms get to us through the ether. What mirrorless is one of them. What the hell does that even mean?
So, hang on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Battery. It does. That's film. Hang on 1 second.
You're good, man. Yeah, for everybody listening, Nick used to operate, I believe, the camera systems or pilot them, the Predator drones. And if I believe, they're the only Predator pilots to ever crash land a Predator into water.
Oh, no, we were not the only. We were the first.
Oh, the first. Okay.
First.
Yeah, you got a patch for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So, a normal digital single lens reflex, DSLR, right? We've all seen them. We all know them. So, inside, there's a mirror.
Okay.
See if I can get a good glint on it.
Yeah, it's reflecting.
So when I take a picture, that mirror flips up so you can see the sensor.
Okay.
I just had it. Good. So there's numerous actions that have to happen. The mirror has to flip up, the shutter has to open, the shutter curtain then closes, then the mirror pops down. You have mechanical
wear and tear.
actuations. With anything mechanical, you're going to have failures.
Yeah.
So granted, shutter life is worth $500,000 to $1 million shutter flops, shutter uses. That's average. I mean, hell, I got one of my dad's cameras that's older than you and me combined together. It still works. So what a mirrorless is, so when you're looking through the DSLR through like a D800 I have, when you're looking through a prism. So you're looking through to a mirror, through to a prism, down another mirror, and then out the lens.
Okay.
So when you're looking through to a prism, down to a mirror, then through the lens, okay, or vice versa, the way the light goes. Well, a mirrorless camera is, there's no mirror inside there. So when I look on the back of my camera or through the viewfinder, it's the sensor giving me that information, not me optically seeing it. So say I'm shooting inside a sports arena where it's dark. I'm not really going to see what I'm going to get unless I take a picture or I do a live view on a DSLR. Mm-hmm. With mirrorless, I'm going to see exactly what I'm going to shoot.
Okay.
You don't have to wait for that actuation for that mirror to come up. You can just hold it down. It's going to take a bunch of pictures. Like the new Canon's coming out, as they're taking 8K video now, they're going to start allowing like 30 frames a second still images. So like Tokyo, like any sporting events, you're going to be able to see sports like you never saw sports before.
Is that, I think I was on Linus Tech Tips. It was a video. And again, I watch these tech channels just because I'm a tater. I like watching them because it's, to me, it's like listening to English as a non-English speaker. I get to hear them say things and I'm like, yes, of course. They're going into something where it's like a new, I think it was like, I don't think it's red, but it was a new camera, but it was like 16K. And they're talking about like, you can get like 120 FPS in like 8K. Like, is that a standard that kind of like drips down into normal phones? Or consumer shit like myself.
Yes,
not high end. Not high end.
I mean, you take the Hubble, think of the sensor that was on that back in the 80s. That thing was the shit. And now I forget the name of the new one that's up.
James Webb.
Yes, thank you. That sensor on that, I mean, it has the world's flattest mirror on it for one. But it has a huge sensor on it. But it's not only just color what we see, RGB, it's X-ray, it's gamma ray, it's infrared, it's ultraviolet. It's picking up all those things, then it layers them together in post-processing to get those super colorful galaxies that we see. But it's all spectrums of the EM spectrum, like power, electricity, radio waves, and all that.
Yeah. So what you said about, but you went back to like Tokyo, like sports and stuff. Like what's the upper threshold of that? Because I mean, even I can remember like when I lived in Duluth, Georgia, in like middle school, the first time we got an HD TV, and like we would watch like Sports Center, and then we'd flip, it'd be like channel 24, and then we'd flip to channel 724, and all the 7s were HD, and we would just flip back and forth again like little taters, just like,
Yeah.
hey, look, it's clear now. But
It
now,
is.
like that's now if I go down and like get on my parents' like iMac and I pull up like 4K, like you see that, and it's like, oh, that's the new step up. But what's the actual limit of it? And is it limited to what like the consumer gets?
It's
Again, like
limited. It's limited to. Sorry for cutting you off, but
no.
I kind of know where you're going to. It's limited to heat transfer.
Okay.
All these cameras produce heat. Everything produces heat that's electronics.
Uh-huh.
So think of your MacBook. When we first started talking, you had to put that thing on a cooling pad inside of a freezer with some dry ice.
Yeah.
You know?
It's that's my new box fan.
Oh Jesus.
That's my new cooler. So when the podcast is over and I start editing, flip on that bitch and have to put in headphones.
Dude, like I would get like one of those wall AC units and just run a ducting down to your.
Well, that's
computer.
kind of my plan. I'm getting
Yeah.
I'm finally moving out in like a week. I've been at home
Or
for 5 years.
build a desktop computer and you can set some cool stuff up with it that way. Anywho, so I don't know where I was going now. Oh, I was talking about heat transfer.
Production.
So all these images are going through the RAM, then through the CPU, then onto the card. The card heats, CPU heats, the RAM heats, like all the stuff heats up. So the new Canon that's out, that's supposed to shoot like 30 frames a second. Well, you have all that stuff to process, it's going to be a lot of heat. You're going to start burning stuff out. It's going to start slowing down, and then you're going to start having errors.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to heat transfer.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make money, you find the heat transfer for electronics. That's why like phones are so expensive, because there's precious metals in there to help dissipate heat.
So is that like why in Ace Combat, as you like get farther in the game and unlock perks, you can like upload like your weapon systems? And one of the things is like you can get like super cooled infrared sensors for your seeker heads, and it's so your missiles like can lock on farther.
It's
I never
lock
understood
on
the
farther and lock on to different heat signatures. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same as like the Predator or the Reaper.
Yeah.
We had cryogenic infrared sensors, or cryogenically chilled. Fuck. And they were super, super cold. I mean, like minus 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Jesus. But if we weren't getting the right quality. So like we're staring at the same hut in Afghanistan. Now it's summertime. The sun comes up. It's going to be 100 degrees down there on the ground. Well, our cameras were set for morning time. So now we had to do pretty much a correction, like a soft reset of the sensor for it to see properly. Yeah. You know, it's like adjusting cameras on your camera or your cell phone when you first bring it up.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, it's all cryogenically chilled.
But what about stuff like has it always been this way? So again, like watching like MKBHD channels, he'll talk about like, yeah, so like, you know, we uploaded this in 8K, and you know, all the comments are always like, you know, it's like me watching an 8K video on 360p on my iPhone. Like it
why?
Well, yeah, it's so is that like does it always does like what I seem to be becoming more conscious of is the fact that like, you know, the bleeding edge, you know, or like Bleeding Iris Photography, Nick's Instagram page, which will be linked in the description. The bleeding edge, is it always that far ahead? Is there always sort of like a dissipation or like a thinning to like the general tater herd like myself?
Yes, both. You gotta think of manufacturing. You gotta think of precious metals. Where are you gonna get these resources? Why do you think we're fucking around Afghanistan for lithium. 50 years?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. But it comes down to precious metals and how quickly you can make the stuff and how cheaply you can make it and make a profit. It's all business.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, oh, like why are you shooting in 4K? You know, most TVs are only 1080p. You can't see over 720p with your naked eye. Well, for me being a photographer, I don't shoot for now. I shoot for the future. I capture the moments now, but to share in the future.
Okay.
So 50 years from now, when they see this new hospital being built in downtown Utica, I have before, during, and after pictures.
Okay.
like one of the things right now kind of trending through here in Utica over the last few years is like the old pictures from like the 20s and 30s of downtown Utica, the trolleys and all that. The city's been sharing those.
Mm-hmm.
So some people have been trying to like recreate those pictures now, but they suck. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of going to the historical society, getting those pictures, getting copies, and going out and shooting the same thing with the same focal length, same time of year, just from 1929 to 2021.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I think that's film. Like Ansel Adams had negatives. We have digital files.
Yeah.
If those digital files are webcam JPEGs of the Grand Canyon, why the fuck am I going to take a picture of the Grand Canyon of the webcam JPEG compared to a professional camera?
Yeah.
I'm sharing for the future.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I used to have these coffee table books, these huge books. They're like 18 by 18 inches, and what they were super high res images from like the 1910s and 20s of Manhattan being constructed. And you go in and it'd be like the plot of land for the Chrysler building, and there'd be Model Ts, but then there'd also be like donkeys pulling like shovels. And it was like, what the fuck? But yeah, you look in at it and it's crisp as fuck, and you see guys with their pipes and their bowling hats, and you see women with bruises because they didn't make dinner right. And it's like awesome detail into the past.
Exactly. So that people like, oh, why do you shoot 4K? Well, in 10 years from now, 4K is going to be like how we see webcams.
Yeah.
So why not try to push to the upper limit of your resources?
Yeah.
Post-production, it takes longer.
Yeah. Like for my own limitations, like I got a new webcam. I bought one over in December. And
in December of what, 2007? Because that's how it looks.
Fuck you. I got it like 5 months ago. It's this is bullying.
5 months ago is December.
This is harassment. Yes.
Oh no, Crimea River.
This is hey, welcome to Snowflake Central, Nicholas. And technically, and I just want to stand for it. But I got the Logitech, I think 4K webcam that they put out for the iMac Pro. I don't have that. I have a MacBook, but I got it. Color's much better. The lighting's much better. I got lights. But even now, I realized in the first day or two, like I couldn't shoot in 4K, and it's because my laptop can't even handle it. So like right now, my laptop is the limiting factor. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm on 4K in my end because it's coming from my camera to my computer.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
But they invented this thing called the iron or steamer. So that black behind you, you could just smooth it out a little bit.
Fuck you. Fuck. It's throwback technology. It's from the 1800s, right? Tom. Yeah, I know. I know it all.
Yeah, you take that piece of metal, you put it on top of your stove, and when it heats up enough, then you can press those wrinkles out.
No, it's not quite 4K steamer. You can go pick one up from the Civil War. But I'm actually listening to a book, Energy by Richard Rhodes, the guy who wrote Making the Atomic Bomb. It's actually a really badass look into like from the 1700s till present day of like the evolution of energy, how like thick forests used to actually be like national, like there was a national security importance to them because they used the trunks for ships of the line for like their naval ships, and like
same as telephone poles today.
Yeah. But they were like defense contractors back then. It was like don't you dare touch these trees because it takes 120 years to grow them, and we need them for the the Queen's Navy.
Yeah.
And it like progressed forward. And then there's also like natural gas pits in like Britain, and they talk about like the early like they would go in the mornings and light the excess like gas that pooled like the around the ceilings, because if they didn't, it would kill all the miners because of just noxious fumes. So guys used
the canaries. Yeah.
So guys used to go down there dressed in like water soaked clothes. They would like get in like a nearby lake or something, and then they'd go in there, they'd put like a wool thing over their face soaked with water, and they'd bring a torch, and they'd lay down and hold the torch up as they crawled down, and it would light the ceiling and it would all shoot out. But sometimes a lot would pool because it wasn't an exact science as their geologic activity. And more than once, these guys were killed, and they would just hear this big boom, and they'd see a flaming corpse get shot up to treetops down. And I was like, holy shit. But yeah, right now I'm at and then like the early like steam engines and shit, how they'd be like trucking down like dirt roads and stuff, and people were freaking out. They thought it was like demonic machinery and stuff, so they'd throw cabbage and like feces at it.
Get away!
Yeah,
Here, eat
yeah,
this.
yeah. So that's what they were doing, and so I kind of like I'm starting to like feel that way as I like hear myself even now talking to you about technology and mirrors and cameras, that like it's all this just long, brutal, obfuscated like path of like trial and error, and it's only now that like it's kind of boiling into some sort of semblance of like utility, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Oh, it does. It does. Like we're very efficient on what we do as
Yeah,
humans.
yeah. Like
Um,
like if you heard that if an alien race had to conclude humanity in one sentence, what it would say: they are very efficient at boiling water.
yeah,
Just all power production.
it is.
We've gotten
It really is.
exceedingly good at turning liquid water into vapor water.
Into a vapor. Yep.
That's what we've done. What do you have to show for it? We have the pyramids. Those are kind of cool.
Aliens.
Aliens did those, so we don't even get those. So here's vapor water. But so for like last year to this year, have you gotten the S21?
No. I upgrade every 2 years. I'm probably gonna change over to iPhone. I got my girlfriend and her daughter 12 Pros for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
The camera on that is pretty freaking cool. It's pretty good, not gonna lie, even for an iPhone.
Really?
But communication with them is just easier. Like I have Android, so when they send a group chat, it's just stupid and stuff doesn't go through properly. So I may come over to the dark side just for
Welcome to the blue
ease
cult.
of douchebaggery. I mean, ease of usage.
Oh no, it's you have to come join the douchebag cult. I mean, hey man, blue messages. It's that much easier.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So like again, so if you're shooting for the future, what applicable use or change do you see in technology? So again, someone that's kind of at the bleeding in comparison to me, whereas like I
Yeah,
had an iPhone 4 and last year I upgraded to an iPhone 8. Like I'm still years behind, but to me I'm like that's more than I need. It's fantastic.
exactly. So it comes down to marketing, branding, and sales.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need 108 megapixel cell phone that the pictures look like they're maybe a 10 megapixel once you put them on your computer? Or once you start doing any post production, do you need that? No. Is it good for Instagram? Sure. Is it good for printing out pictures of your kids picking their nose so you can get a little baby album for them? Sure. How many people actually do that? None. Hey, check out these pictures of my kids. I'm sick of looking at people's phones. I don't care. If you noticed, I deactivated my Facebook. And you want to talk about a mental health release and like just going back to the basics, like you said, you have an iPhone 8. I'm not on my phone that much. Yeah, I go through Instagram looking for stuff, looking for ideas, just kind of motivation, see what people are doing, see how great people actually are. Instead of this bullshit that's going on all the time, how great are people? What are people doing that are great? Like I sent you a video where I should have crashed my drone and I made it through trees somehow. I don't know how. I don't. I don't. I really don't. But it's funny. We're sitting here laughing about it. So it's it's great to kind of be unplugged and enjoy life for what it is. Like I've been outside doing yard work. Shit, last time we talked, I'm down probably about 35 pounds.
I was gonna say you look a little thinner.
Um, well, I trimmed the beard off too. I bleached it. My mom had breast cancer back in October, so I bleached it blonde, and then I had it dyed bright pink, and that's when it was big. I mean, it was like down to here. And then went and surprised her with that. The following week, I had her shave it off.
Fuck yeah.
I'm like, hey, if you can lose a part of yourself, so can I. Unfortunately, mine will grow back.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, that shit was cold. I haven't fully shaved in 5 years, and that shit was cold.
Shaved gang.
Yeah, you can't even grow freaking a pube. You thought
No,
you had a pube
you're
till
right.
you bit out of it.
You're right. I can't grow facial hair, and maybe that's why I don't have a beard. It's because when it grows in, it looks fucking horrific. I look like a patchy crackhead from LA. For you, For drones, so that video you sent me, now do you push like the bleeding edge of drones, or do you stick more to photography with that? Like how far can you go with drones right now before you get into like your former field of work?
So FAA is very finicky on all their stuff. So I can't go out and do search and rescue with New York State Police or the Utica Fire Department or anything like that, unless I am search and rescue qualified, which I am not search and rescue qualified in New York State. So can I go out and assist them? By law, no. If they need help and I happen to be nearby and their drone unit, which the county sheriffs and state police have drone units now.
They do?
They have FLIR, they have infrared, or thermal. They have all different types of ones. They have the Mavic Enterprise, which you can put a speaker on it for crowd control and stuff. That's super loud. Like, there's some pretty cool stuff out there, and anyone can buy it. That's the thing. Anyone can buy this stuff. It's all consumer, but they all have their search and rescue qualifications. They have their 107 waiver for to be able to do aerial photography over top of people, and for search and rescue. There's a lot of stuff to it. So, like the video I sent you of the first person drone, like it's a racing drone, really. And if you got it, like you put the goggles on, you connect to the controllers, it teaches you how to fly it from like the normal drone, like the Mavics, to the racing drone. There's a simulator like on my iPad that I can sit there and play and get practice. So now I'm crashing a computer compared to crashing a $800, $900 drone. Because I went, oops, the wrong way.
Yeah.
So like Unreal engines, they make like video games and stuff. They make that, like I have it on my iPad and on my phone, and I plug my headset into it, and it's a simulator now.
Yeah.
Because think about it, my phone has a faster processor and 16 gigs of RAM compared to like my MacBook Air, which has 4 gigs of RAM. So it's using what technology we have. What's it going to come to? Like the first person racing drones, it's not like an overall cinematic view of everything. You're up close and personal. Like, you get first time vloggers on here, or a person doing a vlog, they have that camera so far away, like I do, because I want to frame this stuff up, and that's just how I did it. I could have cropped out the side over here better. It's all right. I'm not worried about it. But if I'm going to go in and do an interview on you, I'm either going to use a telephoto lens, or that camera is going to be about 3 feet away from your face. And that's kind of awkward, but that's how you shoot. You want to get as close as you can to the subject, no matter what you're shooting. So with this first person racing drone, like I can go in and out like the bushes around my house. I mean, it's a decent sized little drone, but it's you see what's going on. It's right in front of you. You're not flying off a phone or an iPad. You're like in VR flying. So it's really, it's so much fun, dude. It's more fun than it is anything else. Like, it's so much fun. Like, you will go out and be like, yeah, screw my podcast. I'm gonna go fly today.
Yeah.
Like, it's a blast.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it. Yeah, no.
For coming to the military side and what they're doing, no. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff like the return to home feature. If I lose connection to it, it's going to return home where it took off from, and it's going to land within a few inches from where it took off from. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The GPS based ones, like the full on racing drones, don't have GPS. One, that's extra weight. That's stuff they have to use. So like if you go to Walmart and buy like one of the $50 drones, there's no GPS in it.
Yeah.
So if the wind's moving 15 miles an hour and you put that drone up and it's stationary, well, it's going 15 miles an hour with the wind.
Yeah.
The GPS drone will, based off, like I was just flying yesterday on 18 GPS to triangulate where the drone is. Jeez. So winds are coming 15 miles an hour, that drone's going to list into that wind to maintain that location. And it's going to move around just a little bit, probably about this much too, but not much.
There's, I was watching one of the, I think it was Boston Dynamics. It was like a robot to be used in like future assembly lines or something. And, but dude, this thing was creepy. They put it on full speed, which it could only do so much because of heat production. But it's kind of this, it looks like one of the ones on like the side of like a car assembly line. but at the front of it, it's got this like needle, almost like a surgical needle. And the whole thing is bouncing around this whole time. And like the video is not that, it's got like 50 million views. And I was watching, I was like, why does this have 50 million views? Like it's just an arm kind of bouncing around. Like it doesn't look like anything. And I didn't realize that the tip of the needle, it kept in one 3-dimensional spot as this whole thing pivoted around at full speed. And people kept saying the needle's staying still. And I was like, no, it's not. It's waving. And I realized, oh my God, it's, dude, I mean,
the tip's just moving.
It's just the tip. Yeah. No, dude, it's just the tip. But dude, when I saw that, I just had this instant moment of such overwhelming fear that I was like, this is superhuman capability. And what that's going to be, and I talked about the other day, you know those old videos of like tanks in the 70s where they put the mug of beer on the barrel and they drive the tank through the woods and it doesn't spill because of the stabilization, because you can't have your barrel bouncing around. Man, they're going to have that, but on like individual robots holding guns. You're going to be able to have robots sprinting faster than Usain Bolt with like 100 magnification eyes, hitting targets while running through the woods, like sniping while running. Yeah, and I've kind of had this like moment of realization, like terror followed by peace, that like we're all going to be killed by these one day. Probably not for another 10 or 20 years, but they're going to kill us all.
And self-aware.
Yeah. So I've been coming to peace with that over the last like 72 hours.
Well, I mean, it's one thing with the worst part of life is death. How you go? Hopefully you don't know.
I've always said that.
When it happens, it happens. Yeah. And enjoy life. Enjoy right now. Learn from your past, plan for your future, but enjoy right now.
One thing that always kind of like eases my thinking of death, because it's around 8 days from today is the 7th anniversary of my brother's suicide. I always start to think about death a lot more around April. I never realize it until I'm already here. But this year is the first time it's dawned on me that, I mean, what is my favorite part of the day? What is my hands down favorite part of the day? Is it jerking off? Is it taking a shower? Is it doing a podcast? Is it playing video games? My favorite part of the day is going to sleep. Is turning out all the lights, laying down, and go. Always has been. I can have the best day in the world. I can meet the love of my life. I can win the lottery. My favorite part of the day is turning on like I like to listen to like old documentaries from like the 50s. I love the way the audio sounds. Like I'm listening to one on like nuclear engines in the 50s, and it's like, out here on Jackass Flats, they are trying to extract power from plutonium pellets. Uncle Sam thinks. And I just fall asleep to that. But that's my favorite thing in the world, is to get naked, get under blankets, close the blinds, turn on the air conditioner, turn on a box fan, and drift off into nothing. And I don't say that in a depressing way. It's just hands down the favorite part of my day. And how can I fear death if my favorite part of being alive
is
going away?
Is fake death.
Yeah. It's what my grandma said. My late grandmother used to say, "Oh, I love going to sleep. It's just like it's death without commitment." I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
That is great.
Yeah, but you're right. Death is coming to us all, and maybe it does come at the hand of a robot army of some silicon sentries. Maybe not.
Also, during sleep, you don't have worries. You don't have stress. You don't have anxiety. You don't have life. You don't have breathing. You don't have. You have hopefully peace while sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's like, when we think of dying, like, oh, I want to live longer. When I'm 80, I'm going to want to keep living longer. And it's like at the end of a long day, you don't wish, oh, I wish I could stay up for 5 more hours. You're like, fuck this, going to bed. Mm-hmm. That's the end of life. Why would it be any different? When you get to 80, what part of you is going to be like, I wish I just had 30 more years? No, that's got to be pain.
Yeah. My favorite part of the day lately is, well, I'm back in the gym. I haven't been in the gym in 3 years, like Planet Fitness. I've been paying 3 years for nothing.
Yeah.
So Cheryl, girlfriend, and I have been back in
Oh yeah.
almost every day since, for the last month and some change. Go in, do 10 to 20 minutes on the bike, and then go work out whatever muscle group we're doing. Pretty much 1 day off a week. Doing yoga in there too. She kicks my ass in that. But it's just something to do. But my favorite time of the day is if I do a really hard workout. It's like the runner's high afterwards. I haven't had it in many years. I haven't been able to run. I've been able to ride a bike since 2007. Like I said, I ride a bike 10, 20 minutes every morning.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite time of the day is either first thing in the morning, waking up with Cheryl, or going to bed with her.
Yeah.
Like the day's done, we got everything out of our system. It's just us, or we wake up as just us.
Yeah.
And it's great.
It's just that little moment of peace.
It's great being happy,
It is.
With the dog, like she has a little dog. He's 10 pounds. My cat's 15 pounds, and those two are like, the cat acts more like a dog. The dog acts more like a cat.
Yeah.
Like they're great shit. I love them to death.
Yeah. Little balls of love.
If you haven't noticed, I'm in a new place too.
Yeah, I have.
One of her friends, she couldn't afford it, so she moved out. We moved in. We painted every room. We steam cleaned everything. We didn't do the ceilings or floors yet because it was January when we moved in upstate New York. One day I think it was 8 degrees when we were moving, and snowing, uphill both ways. But we painted everything. Like this wall behind me, I was gonna do like the Vanta black, like blackest black.
Yeah.
But this is just matte black, and just touching it leaves like a little streak. So I'm like, nope. One, I don't want people walking into the wall where I spent a few $100s painting.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. It's cool with the matte black. It looks good. Keeps the special operations thing kind of going. Bleeding iris,
I was gonna say it looks dark as fuck. I thought the blacks were like crushed.
Yeah, no, this is. Well, I'm using my. Looks great in the back of my camera, but in camera.
That's actually okay, yeah. That looks better.
Yeah, see, so I'm actually wearing blue.
Oh, okay. It's actually that's a term you taught me.
It was a little crushed on.
Yeah, that's a term you taught me, is crushed.
Yeah,
I never had known what that meant. I mean, once you pointed it out, like I knew what it was, but yeah, crushed blacks. Yeah, but
being happy, like meditating. When I was still in, when I was in New Mexico in special operations, I had the special operations clinical psychologist as my psychologist, and he taught me some breathing techniques, meditation techniques, or just essentially it is meditation, but how to clear your head. And I do those. Like this morning on the bike, like I did not want to be there this morning. I wasn't feeling, how it is. And just getting on that bike, and actually I put on Rammstein and I just hammered it out,
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's feeling good.
I literally meditate every day. I can't go a day without it. My mind starts to. The analogy I use is, it's like, not when it's raining outside, but when it's barely like drizzling or misting. Meditation is like putting your windshield wipers on the lowest setting to where it just, every 10 seconds it wipes it. And it doesn't seem like it's doing much, but turn it off for 5 minutes and then watch the windshield build up. To me, that's my mind is the windshield, and thoughts are like water droplets.
Yeah.
I just do a little bit every day. It's nothing profound. It's not some deep secrets of the universe. It's just 20 minutes, and I don't even really realize the benefits of meditation until I stop doing it. And then I'm like,
if you want to take your meditation to the next level, smoke a bowl.
Oh yeah, I know. I learned in college I couldn't meditate high because it was like the Terrence McKenna quote. He would say, he'd be like, when you do DMT, he'd say, don't give in to astonishment. Like, you're supposed to be learning like truths about the universe, but what happens is it's like getting drunk to write a song or something, and then you get too drunk and you go to the bar and you're like, fuck, I was supposed to like compose the song. He's like, when you smoke DMT, you go into the realm of spirits and shit. He's like, don't give in to the swirling colors. And he's like, but it always happens. You can last a couple minutes, and then you're just, it's like, it's like being a 2-pump chump. He's like, don't give in. Don't give in.
Yeah.
I found when I would get high and meditate, I would never actually get a good meditation. I would just give in, and it end up.
Well, I've learned over the past few years from, it's not illegal here in New York, so yeah, that that there's some great there's some great thoughts and like creativeness that comes around. I always kind of laughed and joked about it, but for Peak to Brew, I think I told you about that before, like the hat I'm wearing. The running relay. That's from, up in the Adirondacks down here to Utica. It's changing a little bit this year due to COVID and stuff. So we're only doing 2 64-mile races. But like talking with Josh, one of the other guys for Peak to Brew, which we should actually come on for Peak to Brew and do actual podcasts and get it out there and get some of the other guys on that are prior operators and have them come up, and Bleeding Iris will sponsor a team.
Please do.
But just the ideas that come up, and I'll take my phone and my notepad and I'll write it down. I got a little journals. I'm on a new medication, so I've been keeping a journal on that, how I feel. I've been trying to change my times when taking it. It's kind of messed me up a little bit. So I'm writing all this stuff down and keeping track of it, because as great as our minds are, and my mind's pretty sharp when needed, I still forget stuff. Especially now as I'm getting older, I have to do better at, especially like people's names. I'll hammer people's names every single time, but it's just those memory games. Trying to get back into it. Doing this little first person drone, I'm pushing myself to get below the tree line, because I'm used to normal aviation, the Predator, and being in the Air Force and stuff, and knowing how airplanes fly. You want to be above everything.
You don't want to be in the trees.
Yeah. And this is completely different. You want to be down in the trees, and
it's probably more like swimming than it is flying.
It's more of,
because you're submerged in the environment.
Yeah, it's like flying a miniature fighter jet, like a micro machine fighter jet is what it's like.
Fuck yeah.
Seriously, it's so immersive. Even just watching it on like an iPad, or on, like when I was waiting, getting everything set up, I put the videos on my computer to watch them in true 4K, and it's just so immersive. And like just watching on my computer, okay, now I'm planning in my head how I'm going to do it differently. How am I going to push myself to strive better? How am I going to get in the simulator and trying to do this certain move, to do this certain move. So my buddy Josh has one, and I was talking to him the other day. I just got mine on Friday. So I went up to his house and flew, and we talked about like doing like a tag, like flying around Utica or something, and we're playing tag. Like there's a gold dome bank. It's a bank with a big gold dome. Like we fly up over top and I catch him, but it's daytime, and then it transitions to nighttime and we're playing tag, but leaving down. So we're going to try to fly the same flight paths during the day, and then at sunrise or sunset. So now we're doing transitions all throughout Utica, or say Syracuse or Adirondacks or Peak to Brew or whatever. We're doing all these different transitions, come up and do a loop, and boom, boom, you're into another transition for another scene.
Yeah.
So it's already pushing the envelope of creativity.
Yeah.
You and I've talked, I think the first time we're talking about, like the S20 and cameras. People are going to continue to buy the newest thing because they have the newest thing. It's world culture that they have the newest, best thing out. That's just our culture. The thing that I laugh at, because I do it too, you do it. I mean, shit, check out that mic you got in front of you. Your other mic worked just great.
Yeah.
Your other mic worked great, and it was the old 30s style looking, mic. But no, you had to go get the freaking new one. Exactly. You had to go get this other one because everybody else has it.
Yeah.
Why? Did you have to? Or did you use your last microphone to the absolute best capability of your skills and what that can do?
Yeah.
Or did you do it for ease like everybody else?
I'm not gonna lie, I really like having it. I love having the it holding right in front of my face. It's got the puff filter.
Yep.
I love it, man. I love just
a dead cat. Yep.
Yeah. I love the dead cat, whatever.
Or you can be like, I got that nice freaking Z7 camera, lens hooked up to custom built computer for photos, or I can go shoot film with a pinhole camera with a little tiny hole and a brass plate, no lens, just an aperture on film.
Yeah, from like 1810.
Actually, this was made in 2018.
Yeah, I know. I'm being
yes. Well, actually, yeah, from the 1800s.
Yeah. Right, that was the first picture ever. Wasn't that the first picture ever taken? Was in France, I think.
Yes.
Out of like an apartment window.
Yes. Tommy, good job.
Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there is to circle back to what we were saying earlier, about like creativity. I made this high like 2 years ago, and it does help you kind of break out of old things. Like I had been making these black and white like vector images, and I've been doing it for like 6 months, and like without even thinking about it, it just became the thing I was doing. Yeah. And without thinking about it, I stopped pushing like boundaries. And then I remember I was going to turn this into like a vector, and I was cutting it out. And I remember I had taken like a tincture, and I was sitting there like cutting out King Tut's face. This was like 2 summers ago. And I just got like really into cutting it out. And then I just remember thinking like, why don't I, when you listen to the same songs and you're comfortable with those songs, and then you branch out and you try something new and you hit shuffle, and then you find your new favorite song and you're like, I never would have fucking, I just remember thinking, I was like, what if I just copied it? I was like, the cheeks kind of look like they could almost fit. No, I made the ears touch. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's the ears touching.
And then I just was like, oh, and I kind of just kept circling it. And it turned into this crazy design. And then 2 years later, I printed out onto a hoodie, and now here it is. And now people buy these hoodies. And but it is, I have this like notepad, this digital notepad. It's like 70 pages long, but it's what I've been like putting little creative thoughts on for the past like 6 years. And it's what you're talking about is just write them down when you have them. Maybe you don't act on it for another year or 2 years or whatever, but just take the little strip out of your mind and be like, oh, idea, and then just put it down.
Oh no, you still hear me?
I can still hear you, but you disappeared.
All right, my camera did something.
You're good.
Am I?
Nikon webcam.
Oh, battery died.
Oh. Well, Nick has died and apparently been sucked into a black hole. Always, and we will miss him dearly. But yeah, it's what you were saying earlier about like happiness is that's something that took me like a long time to realize. Probably not until like the last year of my life. Is like, be the best person you can be. Don't be ignorant. Try to be up to date on what's going on in the world. But at the same time, don't make the same mistake that every empire makes and tries to stretch its tentacles all over the world and control the whole thing. Pull back and control the border of your nation. And I don't say that in a literal sense. I mean, don't try to control everything in life. Draw your line in the sand of what your empire is, and your empire might just be 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, but control what's in there, and really just kind of don't worry about the rest. Again, don't be ignorant. Don't put your head in the sand. But what you were saying about like waking up with your girl or having like the dog and cat, like.
There we go. Sorry, I had to change my webcam.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I couldn't find my plug for the camera.
You're quite all right. But like, that took me a long time. And I think I realized it once when I was living with my girlfriend at the time in like 2015. Yeah, I would wake up with her and we had 2 cats. And like everything was okay. It didn't matter what was going on. I found like the less personal happiness I have in my life is when I get more caught up in politics.
Yes.
Because it's like you don't have this immediate thing in your life. So you start, fuck the border wall or Medicare or Trump's an idiot or Biden's an idiot, versus like when you have actual kind of purpose in your immediate life.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
you're
what are you
just
doing
like,
for yourself?
yeah, you're like, what does this affect? Like, do I have a good relationship with those around me? Is my friend in need? Does he need someone to talk to? And then you talk to that friend and he feels better and he says, thanks, man. That's more real than anything Kamala Harris is ever going to do in your life. Like, for or against a politician you don't like Biden, or someone I did like Trump, good or bad, they're going to impact your life less than the guy you see at the gym every morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, be great to the people around you. Surround yourself with like-minded people. That's what we do. Like Peterborough, I'm getting more and more into it, and they're runners. They're some are elite runners or close to. And if I'm gonna be one of the directors and a part of it, I gotta look like one of them. I gotta feel like one of them. So going to the gym, I'm feeling better from this medication I'm on. My left leg isn't as numb. I will say, the best pre-workout is smoking.
I've tried it before and it the opposite effect on me. I instantly go, fuck it, I don't want to get nope, I'm not doing anything. I go to the gym high, I hate it. I feel every muscle strand. I hate it.
I love it.
Well, you are.
Oh, do you know why? Going to work straight out compared to going on the bike, and then when it like really hits while you're on the bike, you're like, oh, I got leg day. Now, mind you, I love leg day. I hate chest day. I've always hated chest day. Leg days, nothing. Shut up, Blue. My cat. Look him up.
Well,
there he is.
Hi, kitty.
Kitty.
Yeah, kitty. It's my papa.
His thumbs.
Little toe beans.
Well, no, he actually has thumbs. He has 6 toes on his front paws.
Oh, holy shit!
See,
your cat has thumbs.
Yeah.
That's the first step as kittens take over the world. It's opposable thumbs. Step 1.
So once it like kicks in, I'm on the bike. I get through that runner's high, I get through that wall. Then I'm feeling great. Okay, now I have to go do legs, or I have to go do, today was chest day. So Cheryl and I will go over, and she loves working out on the weights too. Like, we have a little gym down in our basement. We got mats, we got a TV down there. We have a Google Chromecast up to it. So yeah, it's feeling good, dude. I've been outside freaking, I have peonies, the freaking white, or the big plants, they have white or pink flowers on them. Black ants everywhere. There's 11 of those plants in front of my house, like up against my house, that we're renting. Fuck that. They're going in the backyard. But I dug all those bastards up yesterday. I dug underneath all the shovels. I need a wheelbarrow and go and get that here when I'm off the phone with you, and go and plant those out back. Away from the house. If they take, cool. They don't, cool.
It's like that Buddhist quote: before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water, meaning going to get a bucket of water.
Yeah.
After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Because you realize the best thing in the world isn't this idea of nirvana, of I am one with the cosmic everything. It's waking up, hearing birds chirping, seeing a puffy cloud, and going, I'm going to go work out. And I'm not going to be an Olympian, but I'm going to go work out. I'm going to sweep my driveway. I'm going to do a new podcast and I'm going to upload it. And I just did another one and I'm building a. Yeah. It's just the stupidest little shit. But I mean, it's taken me 30 and a half years to realize that, man, like that's where it's at. It's just controlling this little tiny kingdom. It's like a little Lego piece. They just build this little, don't worry about the rest. Just build this little thing. And if robots come running through one day with stabilization and they shoot me in the face with some, electromagnetic gun,
they'll set up an EMP and destroy them.
And if they're covered in a Faraday shielding and it came out from DARPA and they thought of everything and everyone in DARPA is dead because the robots turned on them. Okay. All right.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. I don't care.
Me neither. Well, fuck, man. let's wrap it up on that note. I think that was a sweet note. And
dude, do good, be better, don't suck, don't be sorry. My brother Chris, April for me too. His birthday was the end of the month. It's been 5 years, and that's a big hurdle, as you know. You're coming on 7, so you clearly know. But I'm at peace. I'm enjoying life. It's 70 degrees out right now. When I'm off this with you, I'm gonna actually go fly my drone. Hopefully not thread the needle through some trees or near miss birds a few times. But I'm gonna go out and enjoy the nice weather, and then probably pressure wash the back patio, and yeah, like I'm good. And you said you're moving. Where are you moving to?
Like 30 minutes from here. I got an apartment.
Are your parents moving in with you too?
No, unfortunately. No, they're retiring. They're moving up to I think New Hampshire. And
really?
get the fuck out. Yeah, well, that's where we're from.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but I've been at home. I've been at home
there,
for 5 years.
Let me know, dude.
Yeah. Well, I've been at home since 5 years. I mean, 2 years after John died, I was going down the same road, and I moved home in 2016 because I felt suicidal.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I hope I'm at home for longer than a month. 5 years later.
5 years later.
Yeah. Seriously.
So what, dude? Who cares?
Yeah.
If people want to say something about it, walk away.
They're not worth it.
Don't argue.
I don't
give a try to pick a fight as we can. That's all people want to do, is make themselves look good when they're bad, and make other people feel worse about themselves because they feel bad about themselves. Yeah. They're not happy.
Yeah.
It's that enlightenment. It's not really enlightenment. It's being happy with yourself and those around you. If you're not, make a change.
Yeah.
Humans are designed to grow and change.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm making money off the podcast, and I'm going to move into an apartment and do podcasts and listen to audiobooks and then get guests on for those books. I mean, what the fuck more could I want in life?
Yeah.
Of every human that's ever lived in human history, who the fuck, aside from being in, 2021 in a safe country with healthcare and roads that aren't covered with IEDs, but I also get to do what I want, work when I want, set my own schedule,
and work with the people you want.
Yeah. No one told me I had to have on you today. I just decided, hey, fuck it, Nick's coming on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, truly, like, who in the history of the 106 billion humans that have ever lived, I mean, what tiny handful of people get to have what I have, right? Like, it's amazing. And like,
so with COVID, as you know, a lot of veterans, this is cake for us. This is being deployed for us. We've all been through it.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I mean, it is, but it's still nothing, right? So a lot of civilians, I classify you as a civilian, but I don't, because you know a lot of stuff. You have a lot of people on here. You know. Hey, look, meow.
Meow.
Meow. Lay down, douchebag. Yeah. Takes a real man to have a cat, bitch.
Fuck yeah.
So it's being happy and doing what you want, how you want, when you want. Media and social cultures have developed us into the necessities and wants. Do you really need it? Do you need it to survive? Look at, like, I keep looking back and thinking about my grandparents, my mom's parents, back during the Depression. They didn't have shit. You didn't waste food. You didn't throw food out. How much food do we waste? Like, convenience of going to get Dunkin'.
Yeah.
Going to get coffee when I can make coffee here. Like, we have it nice. And I've always been trying to find that thing that I want in life. And that thing is happiness.
Yeah.
Whatever that happiness is, whether it's me taking a picture, whether it's me pet my cat, whether it's me skydiving, which I've never done, but I'm striving for my happiness. What I do impacts me and the ones around me. You can be happy with yourself when you know you've made a name for yourself and you've had an impact on history. You're having an impact by doing this podcast. You're planning for the future. When people look back at these podcasts, like, oh, this is what's going on during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, oh my God, look at these guys being censored by the government. And now the government's giving us all this stuff because the government gives us stuff. So we better like them. No. Like, look at what people actually do. They don't think for themselves. They don't do anything for themselves. Well, I take that back. Everything is for themselves. Nothing's for others.
Yeah.
You lend that shirt to someone that in need, take that shirt off your back. Yeah. You chew someone's ass because they were wrong. You chew their ass. You don't yell at them. You don't scream at them. You chew their ass because they were wrong. But you give them corrective actions and ways to do it. Life becomes good. If there was more people that think like coaches in life, our country would be a better place too. Because coaches get people to work together.
Yeah.
Leaders get people to think outside the box.
Yeah.
The leaders that we see as leaders today, no, they're not. They're not leaders. I'm talking like political leaders.
Yeah.
Stuff. They're not leaders.
Yeah.
All they do is plan. They don't lead. So.
Yeah, that, and I guess a closing thought is stop thinking that the moment in life where it all works out, stop thinking it's just around the corner. You're going to chase that carrot till the end of the road, and you're going to realize it was never there. I mean, that doesn't mean don't try to be better tomorrow, but it means, I'll be happy if.
The carrot is there. It's just not in the way that you want it to be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's just around the corner. It's going to happen for me. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
How's it going to happen? What are you doing to make a difference?
Yeah.
What have you done to bring yourself here to make yourself better, or even given the opportunity to do it? Because you've waited. So has every other person in the history of persons.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And on that note, I've made peace that the DARPA robots will kill us all.
And I'm going to go fly a Chinese robot around my backyard.
Fuck yeah. Mr. Nick Phelps, as always, it's a pleasure, sir. I much enjoy these hour episodes instead of our early.
The fucking marathons.
Our early. By the way, for everyone listening, Nick holds the record for the longest episode. It's like 4 hours and 40 minutes. It was brutal. There was no reason for it other than arrogance and pride.
And COVID.
And COVID, that's true. Nick, I love you, brother.
Tommy, love you too, brother.
Thanks for always coming on. And don't be a stranger, man.
Hey, it's a two-way street there, pal.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Peace, love, and hair grease, brother.